you're 60% more likely to experience depression if you have acne. It's not necessarily your pillowcase. It's not the pizza you ate on Friday night. It's not you're using the wrong skincare products. There's often a very much deeper root cause.
Can you manifest clear skin?
I believe you can. Women, we now know, need more sleep than men. I'd say 8.5 hours for women, 9 if you're healing.
There was a time in my life when I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, and then going to work. What the fuck was wrong with me?
Perfect glass skin honestly doesn't exist.
I'm going to take a minute here and welcome you all back to this week's CATAMANIA episode. I have a beautiful lady with a very beautiful name, Miss Sisley, sitting across from me. As per usual, if you're enjoying this episode and this podcast, remember to give it a thumbs up, a like button, whatever the appreciation function button is on the platform that you're listening to this on. It means more than you know. And without further ado, welcome, Sisley.
Thank you for
to
having
CATAMANIA.
me.
Would you mind giving a bit of an introduction of yourself?
For sure.
And also your name is really beautiful because it makes you think of Italy. Did people tell you that?
I was just there and I went to Sicily and I told everyone that my name was Sisley. I was so proud.
Were they excited?
So excited. They didn't believe me. Yeah. But yeah, my name is Sisley. I'm also known as the Acne Nutritionist and I help women get clear skin. I basically studied holistic nutrition about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and I also have training in functional medicine testing. And I'm basically trying to bridge the gap between looking at acne from a root cause perspective, like why is it actually happening, and clearing it quickly, because that's the goal at the end of the day. And I use that through my method called the Acne Protocol. And I love what I do, mostly because I'm genetically acne prone myself. So I really can go through this from a personal lens as well.
Your skin looks absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
I don't know if we can zoom in because it's like crystal clear.
I have the pregnancy glow, but along with that comes, thank you, comes a little bit of pregnancy acne as well. There's always something that humbles you when you have genetically acne prone skin, and it really helps me become a better practitioner as well, which I'm grateful for. Yeah.
I grew up thinking that acne is something that just happens in your teens when there's huge hormonal changes, when your body is growing, whatever, and then it goes away, it clears out. And I mean, I'm very fortunate. I actually never had acne as a teenager and I never had issues. Can you believe that?
Your skin is amazing. I can tell.
Thank you. I had porcelain clear skin when I was a teenager. And then for most of my teens, I guess, because when I was 2 months away from turning 17 years old, I moved to Canada. Mm-hmm. And then I wouldn't say it was acne, but I started to get a bit of an acne situation on my face. I don't know, climates changed. Canada, I moved to Alberta, stress, all sorts of things. And then lately, I have been hearing more and more stories from women, in their 30s who all of a sudden get acne. Mm-hmm. What does that happen? Is that also hormonal imbalance?
I mean, something like 50 million Americans struggle with acne annually, and most of those are women, and most of those people are in their 20s and 30s. So it's not just teenage acne. It's a huge adult acne issue that we're dealing with, and it's on the rise.
Has it been the case before?
It's rising. Okay. Yeah, the number is rising. And I mean, naturally, right? Because our world is now more of a difficult place to sift through. We're being thrown a lot more stress, a lot less time in nature, less social connection. We're exposed to more toxins in our environment and our food. In Canada, it's around 20% of the population as well. So worldwide, globally, we are looking at an issue with acne. And what's even crazier is the majority of those people are struggling with their mental health. So you're 60% more likely to experience depression if you have acne. So this is not just a topical issue. Women and men who are adults are struggling mentally with their skin, which is just such a wild thing to think about. And it's not just hormones. We have so many root causes of acne, and that's where it gets complicated because acne isn't just this one black and white issue, right? If we had the answer and if there was one root cause, we would be solving it overnight. We'd be bottling it up into a pill, a supplement. We'd be giving it to everyone, right? But there are so many root causes that I could go over. But at the end of the day, acne is an inflammation issue, if we look at it really, because we have to have some source of inflammation that kind of sparks this perfect storm for a pimple. But also we need to look at like what's increasing the oil production in the skin. So have you heard of the term sebum before?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like your
Can
oil.
we go into that? Like what is that? Because this is, I think when people hear acne, they think to themselves like, the very intense looking, pimples all over your face. But it could also be just like, your skin is not clear, right? Like when you have those, am I correct? Like just problems with skin? Does that also
all
address
different types of acne too, right? So we have like that cystic, deep, painful acne. We have the little pimples that never pop that we often get like on our forehead. We'll see that a lot. And then the acne that is like persistent and never goes away, like that chronic acne where we see like pimples everywhere. Like there's different levels, right? And we can actually tell a lot of the time. We use this thing called face mapping. It's ingrained in traditional Chinese medicine, but it's pretty accurate. And you can tell where someone is breaking out and what it looks like and link that to a root cause often. So if we see like this chin-related acne, those deeper cysts on your, chin, jawline, neck, chest and back is very much often related to hormones, specifically testosterone, because you have testosterone and androgen receptor sites in those areas. Oh, wow. But if we're breaking out around like our cheeks, that's often associated with the liver. The forehead is often associated with the gut. And I've seen this time and time again in my practice. Like we don't diagnose or anything like that, but it is a clue for us, right? We look at like, okay, yeah, there are digestive symptoms and you're only breaking out on your forehead. It's a pretty clear match here, right? We need to dig deeper into the gut and what's causing that inflammation response, right? There's always something that's causing the inflammation response. It doesn't just like happen for no reason. And I think that's the conversation I want to be having with women is like, it's not necessarily your pillowcase. It's not the pizza you ate on Friday night. It's not you're using the wrong skincare products. There's often a very much deeper root cause at play, especially if it's chronic acne, meaning that it just doesn't go away. It doesn't stop. Yeah.
There's the picture that if you Google it, I sometimes refer to it if I like out of nowhere get, especially like around my period, a pimple here and there. And that they graph it. Like if you have it here,
exactly,
it's your liver. Or if you have it here, it's your liver, And I always refer to that and I'm like, I wonder what's going on there.
And that's where it becomes more complicated because if you're just breaking out randomly and you can't tie it to anything, it becomes really overwhelming and really complicated. And you get in your head, right? You're like, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? And especially if you don't have any other symptoms, right? Like a lot of women come to me, they don't have digestive issues. Their periods are regular. They don't feel that stressed, what they usually are. And it becomes hard to understand like what created this. But the thing with acne is it's usually, especially if it's happening regularly, it's usually this symptom of something that's been happening for like 5-10 years in the making. It's not what happened last weekend. It's this little cherry on top. It's the straw that broke the camel's back after years and years of other underlying issues. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. So it's not like, yesterday I went out and had, 2 glasses of wine and
that can like tip you over the edge and trigger that breakout. But yeah, if you, for example, were drinking on Friday night and you had some pizza, maybe the low quality processed dairy and the alcohol was tough on your oil production, was tough on your liver, caused maybe like a temporary blood sugar imbalance, maybe stress on the liver, things like that. But there already often has to be something that's already causing those areas in the body to be imbalanced, right? Because our body can actually handle quite a lot. Like we can handle a lot of toxin exposure. We can handle a lot of endocrine disruptors in our products. Like we actually can handle it. We're meant to fight these things off. And, even with blood sugar, for example, like we're meant to be able to eat some sugar and regulate that naturally, right? But when we compound everything and there's like this years and years and years and years, like a domino effect. It's that last domino to flip over that then can trigger the breakout. And that's where people become stuck.
So did you just say that technically, potentially, I'm doing like this whole thing of like picking what you just said and twisting it so that it benefits me?
Yes.
That a little bit of sugar is like not that big a deal?
It's not that big a deal. And people are so scared of things like fruit with acne and having an ice cream with their friends. But we produce insulin, like our blood sugar regulating hormone, for a reason, right? So your pancreas produces insulin to help go in and regulate your blood sugar when we do have that glucose spike from something like an ice cream or a fruit or whatever. Like your body is designed to handle this. But the problem is when multiple things are impacting that insulin or that glucose spike. So sugar is not the only culprit here when it comes to blood sugar imbalance. We also have to look at things like chronic stress, right? And this can mean like, yes, you might be stressed in your everyday life. You also might be holding on to subconscious stress, like trauma, things like that. You could have like an infection or a toxic burden that's causing stress on the body and you don't even know. And then when you go to eat that ice cream, that seems to be the trigger, when in reality, that's not the deeper root cause. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you said that you are prone to acne. So is that then, does that mean it's genetic in many ways?
Yes.
Can you be more prone and less prone to it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And that's why like your best friend might have perfectly clear skin, like you when you were a teenager, perfectly clear skin, but then your other friend might have horrible chronic acne, and you're eating the same way, you do the same social activities, you know, you live a similar life, and one of you is more prone than the other. And that often has a lot to do with genetics. So basically what that means, and
my brother had acne and I didn't as a teenager.
You're lucky. You probably didn't get that genetic.
Whatever the gene was, yeah.
Yeah. And my brother didn't really get it either, but my dad had really bad acne growing up. So I know it's a genetic thing. But basically what that means, there's a few different things we can look at for genetically acne prone skin. But for anyone who's listening and you feel like you might have that and your parents or your siblings had acne, you're not making it up. Like it's not just in your head. So there's a few things to look at. We produce more skins, like our skin cell turnover rate is often quicker. So we get those kind of like clogged pores quicker. So especially if you're wearing like acne causing or pore clogging makeup or skincare, and that is combined with like the constant skin shedding, a pore can clog very easily. We also often have like bigger sebaceous glands, so we are more susceptible to that sebum increase, clogging the
What's
pore.
sebum? I meant to ask you.
It's oil.
It's oil? Okay.
It's basically oil, an oily-like, waxy-like substance that, like when your skin feels really oily, like you wake up and, some women, they can like go like this and they have like oily skin.
I have that on my forehead and my nose when I wake up.
Yeah, I mean, sebum is normal and healthy, and it does give us that glow and protects our skin barrier, and it's there for a reason. Like it keeps you kind of like hydrated and glowy, but we want to make sure that's regulated. So if you have too much or too little, that means you're either very dehydrated in your skin or you're not able to get your sebum producing mechanisms under control. So that's where we see a lot of issues with people who have like PCOS, for example, chronic gut infections, things like that. They're just constantly producing sebum. So especially if you're acne prone, you're more likely to break out because you just have bigger sebum glands, basically. And there's other factors that go into it too. Like I have very thin skin. So when you have thin skin, naturally it's harder to recover from a wound, right? Where if you have that thick skin or more of like your like beautiful dark or like olive undertone where I'm like porcelain white, you can see everything much easier. And so it feels like we're always just comparing ourselves to other people. But in reality, a lot of it has to do with like genetics and the composition of our skin as well. And we can't be too hard on ourselves at the end of the day.
Is it also true that some people have, like, there's a trend nowadays almost online of, and I mean, I fell into it too. Who doesn't want a glassy skin? But like that glass looking, like perfect Hailey Bieber type of skin, like when, And I saw recently a video, and I mean, I appreciate there's so much information out there that you don't even know what to believe. But there was a dermatologist, I guess, who was talking about how, like, technically your skin is not supposed to look like that at all times. And like, if you strive to have that, that may actually be unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the reality. Like, perfect glass skin honestly doesn't exist. Like, it might exist temporarily when you do your makeup or your skincare routine at night and you go to bed looking like a slicked
Like
seal.
an olive. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's me. I do that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I love hydration. I want that, like, locking in that hydration. And that's usually what I look like after I do my skincare routine. But looking like that all the time is not that realistic.
Yeah.
I have yet to meet someone, except for the women in Korea. They actually do look like that.
What is happening there? Like, they need to share their secrets.
I don't know. I mean, the skincare scene there is crazy. I learned so much when I was there, and they stay out of the sun. So those are both two really important things. And it probably has a lot to do with genetics as well, if you think about it. But they're amazing. Their skin is amazing.
I have a friend, a Korean friend, and you know, we were all talking about Botox and stuff, and we were sure that she had it because it's perfect. It's like a little bit tight here and like just perfect skin. And we were sure that she was doing Botox. She's like, I've never done it, and you can see it because she can move, right? It's not frozen.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do they put in your food and water? Like, what is that? Yeah.
And they're really ahead of the game when it comes to ingredients. So they use what nature has provided to us, right? Like, you'll see like the rice water trends, for example, or like the anti-inflammatory topical herbs. They'll integrate that into the skincare. All of it is water-based. It's very hydrating for the skin. They just understand skincare on a whole other level. Yeah, I really do appreciate and admire that. But glass skin at the end of the day, like, it is not realistic. And what we want to strive for instead is healthy skin. So some really good ways to find out, like, do I have healthy skin? Back to the sebum thing, what we were talking about. Is your skin naturally balanced when it comes to oil? Like, you're not too dehydrated and red. A really good way to tell if you're dehydrated is if you use an exfoliant, like a chemical exfoliant, like a glycolic acid, BHA, any of those, and you are really sensitive to it, like it almost stings or gets red, that's not a good sign. That means your skin barrier is damaged. You're probably dehydrated. We want to build that back up. On the other side, if you're too oily, again, we don't want that, right? And that's probably what the dermatologist was talking about. We don't want to be like oily 24/7.
Damage your skin barrier. I specifically recall he was like, if you're constantly striving for this, you might actually damage your skin barrier a lot more than you think. Yeah.
Most people with acne are over exfoliating. It is a huge problem I see. And when clients come to me and we're working on all this internal stuff and they're constantly using an exfoliator, I say, you know what? Why don't we just try cutting back on the exfoliation or take it out, add in more hydrating ingredients, and let's just see what happens. And sure enough, their skin starts to heal. Their skin barrier starts to heal. The wounds heal quicker. Redness goes down. So that's something to consider if you're over exfoliating. Like, how does that make your skin actually feel after you exfoliate? Like, is it better? If it's worse, you got to stop using it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then looking at things like is your skin like bouncy to the touch? That's a good way to see, like, is the collagen production good? Like, are you producing enough collagen or nutrients? Are you eating enough nutrients that help to support the production of collagen? Like vitamin C, for example, is a big one a lot of us are missing. But there's some really good clues that you can look at to see, is my skin healthy, right? Because perfect doesn't exist.
Right. What are some absolute musts? So you mentioned collagen production, vitamin C. Like, what kind of, I guess, to move to nutrition aspect of it, what are some absolute musts for the collagen production and for your skin to just be looking good?
For a healthy skin barrier, there are a few things to note. Obviously, we just said collagen, vitamin C are great.
And vitamin C, like, would you say it's enough to have it from the food, or would you recommend getting IVs? Because I know that there's like a certain level of vitamin C you can only get from food.
This is where it gets complicated, because if we're foundationally at a really good place, we should be able to get all of this from food. But a lot of us are struggling with toxin exposure. Our immune system is struggling. For example, I struggled with mold in my environment, like mold toxicity. the past 2 years. And my vitamin C was heavily depleted because my immune system was constantly activated. It was constantly fighting this toxic exposure. And I did lab work to find out my vitamin C was really low. So I did end up supplementing because we really do need to get that up if it's chronically low. And we just, you're eating healthy and you can't get it up naturally. So I'd say a lot of people can benefit from supplementation, but start with food first always. Like that is, you can't out supplement a bad diet ever. So vitamin C, collagen, I always say like collagen rich foods are really important. So bone broth would be my top choice, honestly. And then also one thing that's heavily missing in a lot of people's diets, and they think they're eating it, but they're really not eating enough, is omega-3 fatty acids. So wild fish, wild salmon, sardines, things like that is probably the best source.
I have a bottle of that in my fridge, like the supplement.
Yeah, the supplement is great too. And it's been around forever. Like my great grandmother, I think, took cod liver oil.
Yeah.
My
grandparents also used to take, like in the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Fish
it was
oil.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ingrained in a lot of traditions and for good reason, right? But also through diet is really, really important. We're just not eating enough good quality seafood. We're not eating enough seeds and nuts that are rich in omega-3s anymore. And that's going to be a really important part to healing your skin barrier and getting that glow back, basically, and wound recovery. And plus all the other amazing internal things that omega-3s do for us. Like they're amazing for our hormones, for our gut, for our brain health, mental health. I could go on.
Omega-3s. Okay. So that's good to note. Vitamin C, omega-3s. And you're saying that starting with specifically eating that stuff and then seeing how that works, incorporating that into your diet, and then maybe moving on to supplementation if it doesn't absorb.
Yeah, and if you're not getting enough. But the problem that I tend to see with people with acne and skin problems is they're so fixated on cutting out foods, right? They're like, it's the dairy, it's the gluten, it's the sugar. And really, you can actually, in reality, eat all those things if they're really good quality and less processed. I talk a lot about that on my channels and my guides and stuff, but really it comes down to quality. And I love to focus on, like, let's get rid of the restriction and instead focus on what can we integrate into our diet to support our skin.
Oh, very interesting. That's the first time I hear of that approach, because usually that would be my first instinct is if something is not working, cut it out.
Which can temporarily be really helpful, but I think it can often create food fear. And then we get stuck in this cycle of like, oh, eggs cause my acne, so I'm never eating an egg again. When really eggs are an incredible health food. Maybe we should look at like, why are you breaking out from eggs?
I didn't have ice cream for like 2 years because I had like...
Sad life. Yeah.
And then I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm never going to have ice cream again. Like, what is life going to be?
I've been there. I've been there. It really messes with your mind. And then we get stuck in that. And that actually creates more stress and then creates more acne. Right. So focusing on what you can add in is really important. And there's a big movement with protein right now. Protein is really important, but a lot of it comes down to the quality. So we have to make sure that, like, okay, are you adding in more beef, for example? Awesome. But we have to make sure that beef is actually really good quality and has those anti-inflammatory compounds. So is it like grass-fed versus is it like raised in a barn with like thousands of other cows, grain-fed, where it's going to cause more of that inflammatory response in your body, right? So good quality protein is really important. Fiber is also definitely on the rise again. Like, I think this is going to be a trend of 2026.
Yeah, fiber is back in business.
It's back.
Yeah.
Which I'm so happy about, right? And we realize, okay, we don't have to be 100% plant-based to get our fiber in. Like, we can get everything in and include lots of fruits and veggies. And there's a lot of talk around fearing even like fruits and vegetables now, which I really want to break that stigma around it, because really, I really believe that whole foods are meant to be eaten for specific reasons. And
that's how, like, speaking, you were in Italy, like a lot of, European countries, Mediterranean places, they eat very balanced diets. They don't really restrict themselves so much. And I think that in Canada and US, and I don't know, maybe, you can speak to that more. Maybe it's because of the quality of the food that we've had historically. But there's a lot more restrictive dieting here, I find. Like, I'm sure you've heard of the carnivore diet.
Yes.
And a lot of people seem to have really healed themselves through that diet. But then at the same time, like my husband, recently had some stomach issues and he couldn't eat anything fatty for a while because his pancreas would like overreact to it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just so interesting to me. And I mean, obviously, like I know a lot of people who have like autoimmune disorders, they have to go on more strict diets. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But just in general, to be healthy, it was always interesting to me how restrictive things can get for people.
Yeah. And these diets are meant to be used temporarily to look at things like autoimmune conditions or epilepsy or whatever it is. And they work. But for long term, for the majority of people, it's not the answer. And when I was in Italy, I learned so much about like the quality of food. And I would go and speak to the vendors. We did a food tour. We learned all about the traditions behind the food. And really, honestly, it pretty much comes down to the processing of the food. So even if you look up the way they make pasta in Italy versus here, they're like sun drying the wheat. They are hand grinding or like stone grinding the wheat. And all of this plays a role in the molecular structure of like the protein, the gluten. So you absorb it differently, you digest it differently, you react to it differently. And this is why we have so many problems here in North America, is because we don't look at food in this like beautiful traditional way where we want to keep the traditions of our ancestors. We're like, what's quickest? What's easiest?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot. Like I remember watching a show a while ago and like apparently in Italy they take 2-hour lunches.
Oh yeah, I'm all for it.
Here, I used to work in an office and I would very frequently eat lunch at my desk while working, right? So there's not really, I don't want to say appreciation, but there really isn't this culture of like, okay, let's sit down, let's take our time with food. It's like, what can I get in as fast as possible because I'm busy, That's
like the number one thing I tell my clients is, are you eating lunch at your desk? And if so, we need to cut that right away. We need to get you outside, eating lunch somewhere in a calm environment, because that can be a big trigger for gut issues and therefore acne. Yeah. So I'm happy to hear you're on board with the 2-hour lunch. Or at least
100%,
eating outside.
100%. You have to. There's something so like soul crushing about just like sitting there and I want to touch a little bit on the stress aspect of it, and I want to be kind of careful to obviously not. Like, we all have stressors. That's just a normal part of life.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's two extremes with that. Like, on the one hand, people think they shouldn't ever feel any stress or feel any negative feelings. And then on the other hand, you have, the word stress used as a cop-out almost. Like, well, I'm stressed. Like, if I'm not stressed, something is wrong,
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like these two extremes. How do we find balance, and how important is stress in having a clear skin?
I mean, we can become addicted to stress, and a lot of us are. Right. And so we see, especially women, have you ever heard of the rushing women syndrome?
Rushing women syndrome?
Yeah, it's a book written by, I think, Dr. Libby, if I'm not mistaken. And it's all about like the modern woman, how we feel like we have to do it all, essentially. And if we're not keeping busy, and if we're not rushing from one thing to the next, we're not productive, and we're not a good wife, a good mother, a good partner, daughter, whatever, right? And I think a lot of us, especially millennial women, feel that. And we're relearning what it means to live in our feminine and to not hold on to this constant feeling of needing to do something. And so again, like when we look at deeper root causes of acne, like it can really be as simple as something like that, right? Like, have you been stuck in this constant fight or flight mode your entire life? Probably. And a lot of us hold on to subconscious stress as well. So I think a little bit of stress is super important naturally, right? Like you go for a run, like we have cortisol for a reason, right? We need it to live and survive and do fun things. But a lot of us are just stuck in this like constant cortisol state. So I think there's some really amazing things and tools we can use to prevent that from happening. And a lot of it is looking at like your boundaries in your life. Like, where do you feel like you're not being firm on your boundaries, and what's really impacting your mental health and your subconscious stress? Like, is it your work environment? Is it eating your lunch at your desk? Is it, maybe we shouldn't be doing those HIIT workouts with like coffee on an empty stomach if you're already stressed at work, right? It's looking at like, where can I soften in my life? And it's amazing what happens to people when they start to take that seriously.
When you said some people are addicted to stress, I felt that so deeply because whenever I talk about something related to this subject, like for, I don't know, just doing things a certain way, so many people get so like hurt by me talking about it because they're like, well, you don't understand. Like, I have a job. I have this. It's almost like, no. You're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
By,
victim mentality.
Saying, yeah. I know I need to be, I have kids. I have this. I have that. And I'm like, whoa, wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not going to work. Like, we have to figure this out. Everyone, we all have stressors. But we have to figure it out. Otherwise, the having children one is the one that always amazes me because, I don't have children, I know you're a mother to be, but of course it's really stressful. Of course your life is going to change, but also I find it so interesting because a lot of the people that I know in my life, they were really stressed with work and then they became parents and now they're very stressed with being parents.
Yes.
So it's almost like these conversations like, just wait till you have kids, just wait till you have kids. And I'm like, you guys aren't selling it very well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that it's hard. Of course, I have so much respect for parents, but it's like, I notice this in people that a lot of times people get so hung up on this idea of like, no, I have to be stressed, It's
their identity.
At all times. Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. And I know that you're big on like manifestation.
Yes.
Yeah. And I truly believe that we get to choose how we feel about something. And that's like a whole other topic of conversation. And I think people like really curl up and block off when they hear someone say that because they're like, no, that's not my choice. It's not my choice if I get to be stressed or happy. It's everything's happening to me, right? But I think once we start to like really tap into that and realize, no, okay, we do get to decide how we view this and we get to decide what we want to do with our lives to for the most part, right?
Yeah.
How we react to things, what situations we put ourselves in. And a lot of that can then frame what your health looks like at the end of the day. So that is a big missing piece that I think the conventional health world and even like the acne clearing world is missing, is like this, how do we change the mindset, the narrative around clearing acne and feeling confident in yourself again, or else you're going to be like obsessed with the healing journey and then more stress.
Many people are really obsessed with the healing journey.
Yes.
One of my friends just posted a video and she was kind of making fun of it. She was like, I'm going to unfollow all the healers out here, because she was like, I'm done healing. Like, I've arrived to this point. And there is this like, I don't know what it is in humans that does that, but there's this like obsession with, okay, well, if I'm not like on my healing journey, I'm something's wrong. And you are really, and then you start restricting yourself to the point of like total, you don't eat ice cream for 2 years. Even though you don't really have any dietary restrictions to not eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that, right? So, there's got to be some form of a balance that you can find internally. Can you manifest clear skin?
I believe you can. I believe you can because when you actually practice the true form of manifestation, where you're tapping in, for example, I get a lot of clients to visualize what their life looks like once their skin is cleared, right? Who are you? What do you dress like? Who are you hanging out with? Like, what does your life look like? What do you eat, right? And then I ask them to start becoming that woman. Like, a lot of people aren't even going to the gym. They're not going on the dates because they're so self-conscious about their skin that then it makes their life worse because they're just unhappy. They don't have social circles. They're not working out, etc. So when you start to manifest and tap into that visualization of like what your future self looks like and you start becoming that person, your life will start to change and your stress goes down, the inflammation goes down, you make healthier choices. It's a subconscious shift that happens. And I'll tell you right now, I can tell the women that actually do it. It is incredible watching the transformations versus the ones that cling to this like constant obsession over having to do everything right and telling themselves, I'm going to have acne forever. I'm never going to get rid of this. And that's something that's missing as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Your mind is a powerful thing.
I know. Isn't it incredible?
Like, that's actually fascinating to me. Yeah. And obsession also can sometimes lead to the opposite result of what you want. Because if you're like super hung up on the result and you won't let it go, you won't like set it and forget it when you're praying for it, and you obsess over it, it almost does the complete opposite.
And a lot of women are obsessed with the timeline of their healing journey. Like, I need to have clear skin by this date for my best friend's wedding. And when you put that pressure on yourself and you're just like every day checking off this to-do list of like, okay, did I drink my matcha? Did I go for my walk? Did I get my 9 hours sleep? And it becomes this like rigid routine where, again, you're not tapping into that beautiful constant flow of life and just like reducing the stress. Then it has the opposite effect. Right. And that's what most of women who are stuck in these healing journeys are doing, is like they're always looking. And I've been stuck in this, right? I've been in that victim mindset where I'm like, something's wrong with me. I need to figure out what's wrong with me. What's the next test I can do? Who's the next practitioner I can see? When really a lot of it just comes down to some really simple foundations that we don't want to address because it seems like too much work. Or taking a supplement or changing our skincare product seems to be like the easiest solution. I don't have to deal with my past stress. Right?
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants a quick fix. I was just going to say, like, damn it, Sisley. So there's not a pill that you can prescribe and take and then it'll go away. Accutane. Wasn't Accutane once upon a time a thing?
It's still around.
Okay.
It's been rebranded in different places. It's still around North America, Accutane. And it's something that I will never judge someone for if they want to take medication for acne. That is your journey, and sometimes it is the right thing to do for your mental health, and I support that and respect that. However, I've just seen too many women do multiple rounds of Accutane only to come to me with their acne worse. The symptoms have gotten worse because it's so hard on your body. It's so hard on your liver, and a lot of acne issues actually come down to like not enough liver support, right? And so we're not actually looking at the root cause. So when you come off of Accutane, boom, the acne comes back. We're just in this cycle again. So I think it's a tough call for people, right? They feel like they've kind of like quote unquote tried it all, right? They've sort of tried eating healthier, but they haven't really dug deep into why it's happening with the right practitioner. And then they just resort to medication, but it only impacts their mood negatively. Maybe they feel worse in their digestive system. I don't know. There's so many things that could happen. And so we want to be careful with throwing that around, and especially to young women. Like, I see it prescribed to like 15-year-olds all the time, and they don't really know, because when you're that young, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go drink this weekend, even though I'm on Accutane. That's very dangerous, right? Mixing alcohol and Accutane. So for example, it just should not be thrown around that easily.
Well, and don't you have to be on birth control pills while you're on it as well?
You do, for safety reasons. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there's other forms of acne medication that are like less negatively impactful, like spironolactone, for example. But at the end of the day, these aren't looking at the root cause. So there might be a high likelihood in my experience, from what I've seen, that the acne will just come back and we never address the problem.
Well, and there's all these studies coming out now that birth control does more damage to your hormonal system and endocrine system than good. Yeah. I've talked about this so many occasions on my podcast because I had a really negative experience with birth control. So I won't stop talking about it, and I won't stop getting attacked for it, but whatever. I
did too, honestly. I was put on it really young, age 15, pretty much for my acne, which was like so minimal at the time.
Yeah, that's another way I know that acne gets treated, even though I've heard it's like more so of a mask than a treatment.
Yes.
With birth control. Mm-hmm.
And most women have only had like a couple months of cycles before they get put on artificial hormones. And it basically is telling your body, like, stop producing hormones. Like, I'm going to do this for you. And that's what it becomes an issue over a long period of time. And then you come off of it 10, 15 years later for a lot of women, and their body all of a sudden has to start producing hormones again, metabolizing hormones again. And it's like, whoa, well, we haven't done this in 10, 15 years. What's happening here? And then you get post-pill acne, and people think, oh, I have to go back on the pill because my skin can't survive without it. And so we become dependent on this medication. Maybe down the line, you want to get pregnant, you have to come off of it. Your skin gets worse. It's this like constant cycle that we're stuck in, when if you can just like kick this early and just kind of get it over with and learn the habits to manage your skin long term, you're just going to feel better overall from what I've seen in my practice. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on blackheads? We talked about acne.
Yes.
That's the point of my concern usually always, because I get them on my nose no matter what. They're not like, but still.
I also get blackheads on my nose, and I naturally have larger pores on my nose, and I've seen tons of estheticians and, different practitioners who've had a look and they're like, you know what, like we can clear this and we can like exfoliate it or whatever, use this treatment, but it's just going to come back like in a couple months.
No matter what.
Yeah. And it's a lot to do with just like the natural composition of your skin or like our environment, for example, like pollutants in our environment, they just fill the holes essentially, and boom, blackhead. So I don't know. I really, it's a kind of a never ending question for me of like, I just kind of let it go. But if you have constant blackheads like all over and then they're turning into those deeper pimples, that's when we do want to address them before they turn into a bigger cystic pimple, because that can happen for a lot of people if there's some kind of underlying inflammation. Yeah. But I think skincare can really help with blackheads and again, like looking at the right nutrients to help regulate oil production, like those omegas, healthy fats.
Because that's what happens, right? It's from oil production, excessive oil.
Yeah, it's like oil mixed with dirt and debris or makeup. And also looking at like, is your makeup pore clogging? Like a lot of us are using actually like
So
pore
this is something
clogging.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
There's non-pore clogging makeup?
Yes. Most makeup
You're blowing my mind right now, Sisley.
Most makeup has pore clogging ingredients in it. They do base it off of a comedogenic rating, which is like a scale that was used on like bunny ears years ago. So it's not super accurate in terms of like, is this actually going to cause a breakout or not? Everyone's different, but there tends to be this like theme with most ingredients that will trigger a breakout. Sorry.
Yeah. So the hydration is important.
Got to stay hydrated, especially for your skin. So basically, there are now makeup brands that truly want to make a difference, and they are using no pore cloggers.
I would presume powder, like any time you use powder, which I have to use powder, otherwise I look like a oiled olive and not like the good kind of olive. But I would presume that like no matter what, it would clog your pores because it's just you're applying that layer of powder.
A lot of powders are actually acne safe. You can find some really great ones online.
I don't knock on every wood I could find. I don't get acne from it, but
you're lucky. Exactly. So you have to be careful if you are more prone to those breakouts, but I would say be careful about what makeup you're using if you're acne prone.
So is there a way to find out what brands have it, what brands don't have it? I mean, I guess if you just search like non-clog pouring, no clog pouring.
Pore clogging.
Pore clogging.
You can Google like pore clogging ingredient checker. Like there's multiple websites where you just copy and paste the ingredients into their database and it'll tell you yes or no, these ingredients are bad or whatever. And then follow like people that you really trust in the acne space who can recommend products. So like I'm always sharing what products I'm using because companies reformulate and update their products. And 1 month it might be totally fine. And 6 months later, boom, they add a pore clogging ingredient. So it's really tough out there. Like if you're acne prone and you also want to avoid, like you want to choose cleaner beauty, you do have to be really picky with what you're using for it to be like quote unquote acne safe.
Yeah. But I didn't even know that was the thing. It's just, in my mind, I'm like, well, all makeup in a way could contribute to clogging your pores because it's just like you're putting a layer on your skin of something foreign that covers your skin.
Yes.
But
yeah, some are more, offensive than others. But of course, like having makeup-free days is going to be your best option if you have acne.
So my skin looks the best after I spend a few months in a tropical climate wearing almost no makeup. Like I'll wear it, a couple of times a week just because I'm in the ocean all the time. After swimming in the ocean and having some sunshine on my face, not like burning, but exposing my face to vitamin D. I find that my skin does the best after that. So like salty water, probably. That's like the logic that I extracted out of the situation. Salty water from the ocean probably extracts all the stuff. I don't know, the sun bakes it all in to like make it more firm. I don't know. And then the glow just from the rest and the vitamin D. Like I will come back from Mexico. Like you'll see me in March. You're gonna be like, girl,
glowing.
Like I get so many compliments. People are like, oh my God, like what kind of foundation are you using? And I'm like, I'm actually not using any foundation right now. And then it goes away. Yeah. And I'm like, it's just, you know.
It's just natural.
Yeah.
I woke up like this. Yeah. Me too. Honestly, it's a worldwide phenomenon. And we think there's like, you pretty much just hit them all, right? You have vitamin D exposure. Most of us are quite deficient in vitamin D, especially if you're living, I don't remember what the city is, but it's somewhere in the US.
Vancouver, Canada?
No, it's actually lower. It's way lower in the US. So if you're living anything above, so especially in Vancouver, Canada, you're not getting enough vitamin D from the sun. So supplementation is going to be really helpful because we used to eat a lot more foods that were naturally higher in vitamin D. Even things like liver. We used to eat a lot more liver. We don't really eat that anymore. And so...
Do you like liver?
I wish...
I wish to know.
I wish I've tried. They make
everything.
Like beef mixes with liver. Yeah. And I don't know.
Beef mixes with liver.
Yes.
Are really good. Like ground beef.
I wish
with
I
liver?
could. I wish I tried. Yeah.
Oh, see,
maybe pregnancy. Maybe I'll try it now that I'm pregnant. I might like it.
If you make tacos.
Okay.
Come visit me in Mexico.
That's a good idea. Yes.
Yeah. You have to order it from like a butcher because it's not something that you would normally get, but it gives it a bit of like a creaminess to it and you don't taste it because pure liver, I don't know how people eat it. There's like some of these like carnivore bros online that eat like raw liver.
Oh, I can't. No, I could never. No.
But anyways,
not for me.
So liver was
high in vitamin D, right? So if you can eat liver by all means. Vitamin D is really important for your hormones, for your skin. Like there's so many mechanisms it does for our skin that we don't even like really understand the complexity of it. So it's going to be that healthy sun exposure for sure.
Yeah.
And then the salt water is filled with minerals. So like magnesium is an amazing mineral that I think 85% of women are deficient in. Magnesium is really important for our hormones, digestion, skin, mental health, all the things. And of course, the salt water is like naturally antibacterial. It's kind of like a hypochlorous acid spray. Have you heard of that? That acne. People are obsessed with this in the acne community. It's an all-natural spray called HOCl or hypochlorous acid spray. And you can spray it underneath makeup or like if you're sweating and it immediately stops the spread of bacteria. It's the best hack if you're acne prone, hands down. So yeah, those are two reasons. And obviously the stress when you're away is lower, right? So I mean, I get it. I glow when I'm in Australia or on vacation and I come back and I'm like, how can I recreate this? I'm like going down to the water, splashing ocean water on my face.
Well, especially if you're here in the winter and it's like gloomy all the time.
Yeah.
My mom was telling me once that her, the lady who does her like face massage, she can tell when she was on vacation and she can tell when she's stressed at work from her...
The firmness
of her skin.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then I recently also heard that sleep can also really like mess up. I've spoken about this actually just recently. Can really contribute to some problems with acne. And
and I know you love your beauty sleep. As do I. It's so important.
How important is sleep for acne? And what do you see in your practice? Like, can you tell when someone is deficient in...
Sleep is the first thing I get people to do. I'm like, you need to improve your sleep environment and your sleep quality. And women, we now know, need more sleep than men. And
thank you very much, everyone, for acknowledging that.
Like, I'm like, finally, I'm validated in this. Yeah. I actually get my clients to sleep for 9 hours every night.
9 hours?
Yeah. To repair, because a lot of people are coming to me in a very weakened state.
Okay.
We need to repair. So for maintenance, I'd say 8.5 hours for women, 9 if you're healing.
8.5. Okay.
9 to 10, even sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sleep is hands down one of the most effective tools for repairing, you're detoxing in your sleep, you're creating and managing hormones. You're doing so much that you don't even realize that having enough sleep and then also creating that healthy sleep environment so you're getting into that deep REM state is going to be really important for true recovery.
Okay. What if your body naturally wakes up after 7.5 hours and you can't make the 8 or
so
9 hour mark?
Some people genetically are like that. And like I know a lot of people who their entire family wakes up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. every morning.
Some people can't sleep more than 5 hours. I know somebody like that. They're like a fast sleeper or something.
They're a rare breed of people. It actually is a thing. Like
I sort of envy them because I'm like, how much more stuff can you get done in your life if you only sleep for 5 hours and then you're good to go?
So productive. Yeah. So I'd say like obviously there's the rare person that does thrive off that. But I would also dig a bit deeper and say, is cortisol running the show here? Because if your cortisol is constantly pumping and you're constantly in that fight or flight, you're going to have that 3 to 4 a.m. wake up. You're going to have that 5 a.m. wake up. Your body will naturally wake you up. And so ask yourself first, are there, areas of my life where I can manage or reduce stress? Or is this just like a genetic thing and I'm feeling really calm and balanced throughout the day? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the whole 5 a.m. trend also started to fade away for women recently.
I was big into that in my 20s.
I was huge. I was waking up. There was a time in my life when I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, and then going to work.
And having a coffee.
What the fuck was wrong with me? Right? Having a coffee first thing in the morning.
Yeah. No protein.
No protein whatsoever. I've been vegetarian for 3 years.
Oh, yeah. I would do like F45. I'd have a coffee and then I'd have my like vegan breakfast.
Nice.
And and by 3 o'clock, I'm like,
I'm dying.
Exhausted. And I used to think, oh, that's a good sign. That's a good sign that I'm exhausted. It's a good sign. I've had a good hard day.
Yeah.
And now I realize absolutely not. And I started tracking my sleep with like wearables. And I started to realize like what actually made me thrive.
Yeah.
Like it's that, is it my recovery? Mostly I was tracking and then I looked at like my sleep, my quality of sleep, things like that were so important. More important than the 5 a.m. wake up.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I have the 8 sleep pod. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I'm so jealous. That's like top of my bucket list.
I'm about to ask you a personal question, but do you sleep in the same bed with your husband?
I do.
Okay.
And being pregnant, I'm taking up the whole bed. And I feel really bad because I'm a disruptive sleeper to him.
Yeah.
Do you as well?
With us, it's my husband who's a disruptive sleeper to me. I was going to show off my sleep results. This is the new thing, okay? This is the new thing. You compare and you show off your sleep results, but look at how beautiful this looks.
Wow.
Yeah,
we're in the green.
This is my 8 sleep results.
That is beautiful.
91%. Everything is in green. And this has been consistent, unless we're like doing something at night, for example, like we're, going out with friends
only
or something
natural,
like that. Only, and you kind of have to have those nights.
Of course, yeah.
But this has been hands down just the best thing ever for my husband and I.
Wow.
So we slept in separate bedrooms for a while. And when we have a chance to do it, I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but most of the time you don't because you have one master bedroom and my husband's not going to, move to a different bedroom for me and I'm not going to move to a different bedroom for him. It's a master bedroom. Yeah. Right now, we only have the possibility to sleep in the one bedroom. So I will be awakened by anything that I could be awakened by. So I have to have earplugs in, everything.
Especially
otherwise
living in the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my husband is not as light of a sleeper. He can fall asleep on the plane. It doesn't matter to him.
What a life.
And he's a human furnace.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So,
does the 8 sleep cool you?
So it cools you. 8 sleep pod doesn't just cool you. It adjusts to the perfect temperature that you prefer it to. So for example, when it was cooler in March, I would increase the temperature a little bit on my side. So it adjusts the temperature on each side of the bed. So my husband has his own temperatures going on for him. I have no idea what they are. They're probably like -20 and it cools off quite a bit.
Wow.
And then it can increase the temperature. Moreover, you can set it so when I need to wake up in the morning, I set my alarm to basically slowly and gradually wake me up, and it will slowly and gradually increase the temperature, and you wake up naturally because you're getting warmer. Yeah,
that is incredible.
Yeah, it's It's so good. I cannot stop raving about it. And with the heat waves that we've had this summer, like we didn't even care because you get into your bed and you have the most perfect temperature.
Unaffected.
You sleep so much better. And I've noticed it in every area of my life. My biggest thing was first just my brain, the way it functions. Because if I don't get enough sleep, I right away can feel it. I can't concentrate very well. I can't focus. I'm definitely not one of those people who can, sleep very little and then go on about my day.
How am I going to be a mom?
There's hormones that get released. I've been told.
I've heard
for
this.
a while.
Yes, I've heard this. Yeah. I need an 8 sleep, and then we'll be sleeping great.
I highly, highly recommend it for everyone, especially if you have a spouse and they have, because men have usually different temperature preferences. They, my husband wakes up earlier than I do, makes me coffee, which is really nice of him. After I have my lemon water and a bit of a snack.
I know. Love that.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's been phenomenal. I absolutely recommend it. And I do have a discount, by the way, for those of you listening, watching this. $350 off Pod 5 Ultra and then $200 off Pod 5 Core. You can get the discount using my code CRISTINA CATAMAN, all caps, all together. And we'll also link it in the captions for you guys of this video.
I'll be using that discount.
It's an amazing piece of technology. I love it so much. And I think that we also live in a I guess time. Well, I don't know if it was just during our time, but we live in a culture where I don't know if you've ever worked in the corporate world. Have you ever been in the corporate
in my
grind?
early 20s? Yeah. I don't think I could ever go back.
Same.
It's really hard.
But there's this culture of if you are getting enough sleep, then you're not working hard enough. I don't know if you've experienced that. It was a flex to be I haven't gone on vacation in a really long time. I didn't sleep well because I was working really late. It's a flex that people have.
Yeah.
And I just think that's not something to be proud of.
No.
We should probably strive to, again, compare our sleep results and be look how well I slept. Yes. I feel so much better.
And be I had a great sleep last. You know what? You could take off half an hour early so you can do your nighttime routine. That would be a sign of a healthy boss.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's just,
the corporate culture is definitely getting a bit toxic. It's not good. Yeah.
And I feel it's not really necessary per se. You could probably balance it out and not have, there's all sorts of examples of companies, creating environments where it's more pleasant for people to work, and not just this, fluorescent gray light.
And if you're one of them, claps to you. Yeah. We love you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you.
We've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been there. We understand how important it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's absolutely crucial to have that, to prioritize yourself, because otherwise how are you gonna function?
Yeah.
I do want to ask you, so do you have, I absolutely love the approach that you have that is more about a balance, and that is the first time I've heard anyone talk about it. I would have expected you to be cut this out, cut this, cut that out. But is there anything that you're this is an absolute no?
Yes, for sure. And I think, again, it comes down to quality for me personally. So I have personal standards for my diet and food choices that, just given my background and my education, I have decided for myself.
Yeah.
And it's something that I encourage my clients to look into as well and to prioritize. But I'm not going to sit here being you have to buy all organic, because it's not feasible for everybody, right? So in terms of the big no's, it's ultra processed food is the big no for me. So you can healthify anything. You can find less processed versions of anything. You want chips, you want candy, you want burger and fries.
I love chips.
Me too. I've been living off of chips during my pregnancy. But what I'll do is I'll get the chips baked in high oleic sunflower oil instead of canola oil.
High oleic sunflower oil.
High oleic sunflower oil.
That is the oil that they use back home. And
there
I was
you go.
having an argument with my mom about this. Because I was Mom, seed oils are really bad for you. And she's sweetheart, we've been using the sunflower oil for decades or more. What are you talking about? And I'm Mom, seed oils are bad for you. So I'm gonna call my mom after this and be Mom, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. You were right. Yeah.
Okay, so that one is
less
okay.
processed.
Okay.
It's less processed. So it's gonna be the least villainous version of a seed oil. And anything cold pressed, and the processing of the seed oils is the problem, because it basically denatures them. It ruins the structure and it creates then this inflammatory response. That's the problem that we see. But when we take something in its whole food form, like how a food is meant to be, like cold extracted, cold pressed, less heat, whatever, no chemicals involved, then it's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
And that's what most of Europe does use, is these higher quality oils. So I always try and look for, like, can I get the less processed version? So like the chips I buy, they are organic, they use sea salt, and they use high oleic sunflower oil.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually, my husband and I, we notice we do not feel negative at all after eating those chips.
I have a couple of bags of chips like that from time to time, and I agree with you, because if you eat like the very generic, we're not gonna talk about the brand names. I don't want to, but if you eat like a I don't know, like a handful of chips like that, you just feel awful after.
Feel it in your throat.
Yeah, and your whole mouth gets a little. But when you eat. There's some avocado oil chips.
Those are great.
Made on avocado oil. I can eat like half a bag and then I'm like, oh my God, I should probably stop eating these because it's been like
dangerous.
Way too many.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like bad
after. It's just potatoes and some healthy oil and it can handle the heat. And that's the difference, right? So yeah, I'd say like making those healthier choices, and even like, if you have like a favorite candy, there's like healthier alternatives to candy now.
Very true.
And as an occasional treat, it's really not that big of a deal. And I would say like also lean into like your cravings. Like if you're craving something really specific, like I basically have been addicted to chocolate my entire life. And it's because I'm iron and magnesium deficient and I have a hard time getting those up.
Is that why we crave it during our period?
Oh yeah. Iron and magnesium, cacao. Yeah. So if you can make like a healthy hot chocolate. I have this like hormone healing hot cacao recipe on my Instagram, and it's, pure form of cacao, tahini, all like high in iron, high in magnesium. Satisfying.
You're literally telling me this and I'm like,
I should have brought you one. Should have brought you one. Oh, I've been having that every morning in my pregnancy. But yeah, like your body will always tell you kind of what you're craving. And then just ask yourself, like, what's a healthier version of this? Or like give it a Google, ask your favorite nutritionist or
contact
whatever.
Sisley.
Yeah. Message me. I always have an alternative for you.
I'm kind of scared to ask you the next two questions, but I'm going to do it anyway. What are your thoughts on coffee? And what are your thoughts on wine and alcohol?
I could talk about coffee for hours.
I'm going to isolate wine because that's the only thing I indulge in from alcohol.
Yeah.
But
I love wine. Yeah.
I'm really scared to ask you this question because I don't know if I want to hear the answer.
No, I've got good answers.
Yeah,
I've got good answers. Yeah. And coffee, there's different levels. Again, we could go into this really deep, but at the end of the day, again, it comes down to the quality. Like I sound like a broken record, but coffee is the highest sprayed crop in the world, or at least it has been for a really long time. So don't quote me on that. But it's ridden with pesticides. So we already know that it's not going to be great for our gut because pesticides kill off our good gut bacteria.
So it's not the coffee, it's the pesticides.
It's the quality.
The quality.
That's the biggest thing, right? And a lot of coffee contains mold, mycotoxins. So when it sits, the coffee beans, they sit. So you can find there's tons of amazing coffee brands out there, even locally, like kind of like your hip coffee shops will pretty much always use like organic coffee, mold-free coffee.
The more hip the coffee shop, the better the coffee.
Hands down. They really care. They can taste the difference, right? So if you're buying, even just like on Amazon, there's tons of mold-free organic coffee. Like that's your first step. Decaf, you always want to look for Swiss water process, not chemical extraction. So it'll say Swiss water process decaf coffee. So choose the good quality. Like if you want to have your coffee, choose good quality. Try and have it with a meal so that we're not having it and spiking our cortisol first thing in the morning, or pair a healthy fat with it. Like I am actually, and this is a very controversial opinion, I'm a huge advocate for soy milk because it's high in protein and actually helps to kind of essentially like get rid of the quote unquote bad estrogens.
Okay.
And replace it with quote unquote good estrogens because it's a phytoestrogen.
Okay.
So soy milk is high in protein, great to have with your coffee, or even like a coconut milk is great. Healthy fats also help to balance the blood sugar.
Oat milk? No.
Not my fave.
No.
It's not going to
kill
you.
I've heard horror stories about it. Yeah, I stopped drinking it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not my favorite unless you get like a single ingredient organic oat milk, which most of them aren't. But I actually prefer just like a soy milk or a coconut milk.
Okay. I didn't know that about soy milk.
Yeah.
I love coconut milk. I recently found a hazelnut milk. I can show you later in a store that has 2 ingredients.
Yes.
Hazelnuts and water. And I was like,
yeah,
I love you.
Yeah.
But now I can't live, further away than a street from that grocery store because I'm addicted
dangerous.
to it.
Or the pistachio milks. Like there's so many cool milks now.
Yeah.
Or even just like a whole milk. Like
I know, like what happened to good old milk?
I know. Again, like if you get like a really good quality grass-fed, we want to look for A2 dairy. Again, this could be like a whole other conversation, but if you have acne and you're eating dairy, look for A2 dairy. It's just the type of basically protein that the cows produce. So it's buying from certain farms that raise different types of cows. It's less likely to be acne triggering. So if you're drinking milk, just swap to an A2 milk or like a grass-fed milk is a good choice as well. Yeah.
Amazing.
And then like try and sweeten it with like some raw honey instead of going to Starbucks and getting your pumps of vanilla.
Yeah.
I'd say honey is a great option.
I've trained myself to not sweeten my beverages.
Oh, how do you do it? I'm a big sweet gal.
You lower the dosage. It's like a drug basically,
Tapering off.
Taper off.
Yeah.
And then your palate will get used to it.
True.
So now if somebody sweetens my coffee, I'm like,
ew.
You're messing with the taste of my coffee. It doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
And then now I don't sweeten it at all. It tastes really good.
I love this for you. I'm inspired. Yeah. And there's so many cool coffees out there now. There's like mushroom coffee.
I know.
Love mushroom coffee or like coffee mixed with dandelion root powder. Like there's all these cool functional coffee brands out there.
Many. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that about coffee because I mean, out of all the things you can be addicted to, I feel like that one's probably not bad, but I'm definitely addicted to coffee. 1 cup a day. I can do more because
that's fine.
I think it like triggers. This is actually very interesting. I need to have you back on my podcast because there's so much information that I want to dive into. But in the interest of saving time, we're kind of going from one subject to the other. But if I have 2 cups of coffee, the second cup will trigger my armpits to sweat. So I know this sounds really gross. I don't mean to have like TMI here, but like that. But if I have one, I'll be fine.
You're fine. Yeah. You probably have the same genetic variation that I do where you can't metabolize. So it's like a receptor site where you're metabolizing estrogen and caffeine at the same receptor site. So if you overload it with too much caffeine, you can't metabolize estrogen. So that might be your body like trying to metabolize estrogen.
Interesting.
I don't really know how that exactly would work, but I'm saying I can only have like 1 coffee or 1 matcha. If I have anything more, I'm like anxious and sweating and
I get super anxious, super sweaty.
That's 50% of the population has that. So you're not alone. Yeah, because
some people can just like drink it all day long and nothing will happen.
Yeah,
and if I go beyond that like threshold, I'm like flying around like a rocket, but not in a good way, not like in a productive kind of way, like anxious.
I feel you. Yeah.
And how about wine?
Again, quality. Like natural wine is the best.
I'm really loving this.
Yeah, I'm bringing all the tips.
Yeah.
And that's why when you go to Europe, pretty much all wine is organic. So if you're buying wine or if you're at a restaurant, you're ordering a glass of wine, look for wine from Italy or France, for example. Those are 9 times out of 10 going to be organic just due to the regulations. And natural wine will have less sulfates. It'll just be easier on the body, easier to process. Like I have a glass of natural organic wine in Italy and I'm not hungover the next day.
Yeah.
Right? So again, quality. And we know that alcohol is not good for us.
The best thing, yeah.
Yeah. But I also think if you're going to have something, just choose the best quality and enjoy it and don't stress about it. Like I love a margarita or a glass of natural wine when I'm not pregnant. But I am, I'd say like a lower alcohol consumer for health reasons. For sure.
And I think you start to become usually, right, by a certain age.
Yes.
For me, it's definitely been, I have very similar reaction in the sense of like if I overdo it, and it doesn't take much, it takes like 1 extra glass. I'll have like severe heart palpitations at night. I won't be able to sleep. So it's just, but sometimes it's, a glass or 2 with dinner. It's okay. It's only life.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Well, Sisley, this was very informative. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your knowledge. For those who are listening, we'll obviously link everything in our, captions, description of the episode. But if maybe you could quickly take through how can people find you, work with you, find out more information about your work.
Yeah, so you can find me at the Acne Nutritionist on social channels or theacnenutritionist.com. Send me a message. I know a lot of people, they don't really know what route to take, right? They're feeling like, what's my plan of action? Just shoot me a message, send me an email. We can chat, talk about your best plan of action. And I've got tons of free resources online as well that hopefully you can benefit from. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you to our wonderful listeners for tuning into this episode. I will see you next week.